But first and foremost, I want to make sure that I thank all of you for turning up to this webinar. I know you could have been doing lots of other things, and I thank you for choosing to invest in yourself. So thank you for that. And first and foremost, I want to thank the B.A.P movement, Black African Power, by giving me a platform to enable me to give as much value in this webinar as possible to you. So big shout out to B.A.P and Black African Power for that. And yeah, we're going to get things cracking. So if anybody at first didn't realize anything about my past or who I am and why I'm here doing this, then I'm doing Success Forever. In the past, marred with drug addiction, spent years in a life of crime and years, almost 5 years in prison. Coming out of that, I then focused on myself, realized the true self-love within myself, worked on meditation, worked on my own personal growth, and became a better person in order to do sales and do good for the world. So I just want to do a quick webinar to show you how I found my own self-love and how you can do the same in order to massively improve your life going into the future. So as I said, this webinar now is how to empower yourself with self-love. And being a young black man, I grew up in a predominantly white area. So this was difficult for me to be able to empower myself and find my own self-love in order to find love for myself, my mother, my friends, my family, and the situations and circumstances around me based on the circumstance I was in. Because there would be times where I would say, well, is my black skin normal? Is it normal for me to look like this? Is it normal for me to have my curly hair, for me to be of African descent and live through my culture? Or is it something that I don't fit into this society, that I don't fit into this true culture? Then that was something that was a battle for me in order to find my self-love. So I was looking in the mirror asking these questions if there was something wrong with being melanated, if there was something wrong with being a black man. But obviously now, standing in my own self-love and my own self-power, I realized that there is massive power within being a black man. Where as a young child, I'd look at my lips and I think, well, my lips too big. And now I look at them and say, yo, this ebony beauty that I see in the mirror, and I love myself, and that empowers me and gives me power to go forward. So in order to find the self-love, sometimes we have to realize that, yes, there may be situations that's going to stop us from feeling that self-love. So firstly, we have to realize that we are in a conditioned mindset. We have a conditioned identity because we are conditioned through our family, because we are taught from our mother and father from a very young age. And coming up from that, we are going to see the world primarily through their perspective because we are taught by them. And then we're going to be conditioned also by our friends and our social circle. We're going to be conditioned by society and by the media. And that is all going to affect and have an impact upon our self-love because we are now looking at it through a paradigm of other people and we're not following through our direct heart. And when we can do that, then we will find that we have the power to change and manifest massive things in our life and do great things going into the future. So bear with me, people. So there is a vicious cycle of society that I've found that impacts upon us. And the first being that there's an inward search. So we start with this inward search of finding out, well, who am I? Who am I really as a soul being inhabiting this physical avatar in this 3D plane? And that inward search takes a long time. And when we find certain aspects of ourselves, then we want to freely express that, we want to express that in the best way that we know how. But when we try to express ourselves, then we come up against massive societal suppression of, you can't do that, you can't say this. And then we go into loss of self when we're trying to find ourselves once more. And we try to find that through connections with other people, which I can definitely relate to because I've been with lots of different circles of where I've been with a circle where I'd be taking drugs. I've been with a circle where I'd be out and doing crime and violence. And I'd be in lots of different circles, experiencing lots of different things, trying to find a connection of where I fit in. And then we go back into the inward search and re-begin the circle all over again. And you'll have to do that many times in your life in order to find the true person that you really are. But the love in that process and that journey will ultimately make you the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. So we have to realize that we have to educate ourselves through our own experience. We have to look within, because as within, so without. And realizing, having this awakening moment of realizing that my parents were just human beings was one of the most awakening moments that I've ever had in my life. Because as a youngster, you look up to your parents and you realize that, okay, all of my decisions and my judgment are based upon what my parents are teaching me, what I'm learning from my upbringing. And when you realize that they're just human too, then this is a difficult thing. It finally brings that sobering thought to you of, okay, well, they're just human, so I have to filter through the information I'm being taught through my education. And then we realize that we've come through school and university and college and realize, okay, but I've had an indoctrinated education because the teachers are indoctrinated, the systems are indoctrinated. So now we're learning things through a system of other people's paradigm, and we have forgot our own true self. So when we come back to that true self and we learn from our heart, we learn from our experiences, and we see things from our own perspective, this gives us an empowering love and confidence that we can now take forward into every single experience in our life. And we can take that forward and make massive things happen. But learning solely from the experience of others is not going to take us the place that we want to go, because we all have our unique paths. So we have to battle sometimes with what society deems acceptable. And these two magazines are two magazines that I had a massive collection of when I was spending time in prison. As you can imagine, these girls are beautiful. And the reason why I've put this here is because this one is mostly for the females, because males don't really struggle too much with this aspect, because women are expected to hold a high standard of beauty, where males are looked upon more for what they manifest and they create, even though women should be looked upon for what they can manifest and create in their life. But there's a high pressure on the looks of the female. Even though these women look beautiful in these magazines, we have to realize that yes, they're airbrushed and it's an image that they are trying to sell beauty as a commodity. So when you, as a female, as a black female, can realize your own true beauty, when you can realize that the natural beauty that you were given without makeup, without the extras, that you don't need any of that, that a man can look deep into your eyes and realize your true soul and your true nature, when you love all of the being that you are as a powerful young woman, then you will have the confidence to go forward in that and forget about what you're seeing in the magazines, forget about what they're trying to sell as a commodity, because that's business and that's a pressure that societal conditioning is going to place upon you. But now you have the mental capacity and know about this, then you can fight that from your own standpoint, knowing that you stand true in your own natural beauty. And the fact that we have lots of cultural norms can get in the way sometimes, because say if you're a white or a black female and you're living in a predominantly Muslim community but you're not religious, then what is normal is going to be different to what you grew up, what's considered normal. So living in Sharia law is there's going to be different things that are considered normal than what's going to be considered normal living in a westernized society. So we have to live by our own standards and our own morals. And when we live by our own standards and our own morals, then nobody else can quite live up to those morals like we can. And that is having self-love. That is having knowledge of self and knowing what we stand for, what our morals are, and how we wish to live our life, how we wish to conduct our daily rituals, and how we wish to give back to the earth. And that is having love, because it's loving yourself and knowing your own true purpose and not having any need to feel to live up to anybody else's purpose. simply because you have complete congruence and accept everything. You accept all that is you, both the light side and the dark side, because we live in a universe that is inherently spiritual and that has those two sides, the light side and the dark side. Now, I've had a very dark side in my past of where I was living angrily, where I had a vengeful nature and I had a vendetta against the world. That dark side still exists within me. For me to say that I've changed my life is definitely true. But for me to say that a dark side no longer exists within myself would just be a lie. So now I know that that dark side exists within myself, but I accept that. I accept all of my flaws, and nobody can put anything to me in a way that I don't understand anymore, because I'm living through both my benefits and my negatives. I know what makes me angry. I know what makes me happy. I understand those dualities and those opposing sides of my nature, and I accept them all, and I stay congruent to both sides. If I'm feeling angry, then that's okay. If I'm feeling happy, then great, that's even better. And we've all heard this saying, the famous saying of just be yourself. And this saying can probably be in the world, but simultaneously the worst saying and the most meaningless saying ever. Because really and truly, who am I anyway? If you're telling someone to just be yourself, then the very fact that you have to tell that person to just be themselves means that there's a difficulty in finding who self is. And that's a whole lifetime journey of finding out who is this spiritual being that I am incarnated in this physical body, in this 3D paradigm. And when we're getting constantly bombarded from outside sources and telling us who we are, then the very thing we need to do is have very deep introspection. And introspection is this is what's going to enable you to find out deeply who you are at a core level. The time you give yourself to just be with you, to just be with your own thoughts, to just meditate and give yourself time, you can then find out who you are as a true person, down to your true nature. And that's going to give you the love for yourself, because finding out who you are as an essence, you are a light being that is truly perfect at a core level. So when you find out your true essence, when you find out your true calling and your purpose, then there is no other alternative other than to have self-love and other than to have love for everybody else, because you realize that they are both a reflection of you. Now, we have to love the process, because this will be a process of finding out who you are as a person. And that process is oftentimes portrayed as a long journey straight or a rock and roll ride, but I don't see the process as that. I see the process as we are all stars, and ourselves are the suns within us. So therefore, our process of growth is expansion. Just as the sun starts out really small, we expand outwards until it goes to supernova level, and boom. So our expansion is circular. The light rays point out in every single direction outside of the sun, and we expand outwards in different areas. So there may be a time where you're focusing on the relationship side of your life. There may be a time when you focus on the business side of your life. Each area and phase in your life, you'll be focusing on different areas. And that is all working on your self-love and your success as a complete being that is growing in a 360 nature, not in a linear direction of from A to B. So therefore, when we stop focusing on the goals and when we stop attaching deeply to these goals, then this is when we can now find true love and true happiness in the present moment, because we now realize that all of our stress and our worries lie either in the future or in the past. The present moment has no worries. The present moment has only action and engagement. So attaching to money cannot buy us confidence and cannot buy us a love. So when we're getting attached in this rat race, we have to realize that There is much more to life, and there is happiness in the present moment. There is happiness in the process of becoming who we wish to become. And that person cannot be quantified. The growth cannot be quantified by counting score with the money. It's the process we fall in love with. When I fell in love with personal development and I realized that my thinking can change my reality, that we're in a thought-based world, and how I think will be how I manifest things in my existence, then I fell in love with. I didn't fall in love with the possibility that maybe I could buy a mansion. I fell in love with the possibility that I could make myself better, that I could grow and manifest greater things in my life by making myself greater. And this is the process that we can fall into so easily just by making our thinking, our positive thinking, habitual. Because everything in our life is habitual. We're habitual creatures, and we'll fall back into that. So once we get rid of the subconscious baggage, let go of everything that is no longer serving you, clear all of the baggage away, have awareness of the feedback that the universe is giving you through your actions and through the results that you get, this is what's literally going to change your life massively. Because at the end of the day, perception is your reality. How you perceive your world and how you think about your world is literally how it's going to end up being. How do you think about yourself when you see yourself in the mirror? How do you think about yourself when you're upon your journey? When you're upon your mission of becoming the best version of yourself, when you're upon your mission of empowering and raising your community, how do you see yourself? How do you think about yourself, and how do you speak to yourself in your mind, in your thought process? Is it habitually positive? Is it habitually uplifting and enlightening? Is it empowering to your nature and to your core? Or is it based upon social conditioned paradigms of, I can't do this because? That switch is going to change your whole life. And that lesson of self-love is what's going to lift you up. I don't know about everybody else, but this is a company that I would love to be in amongst beautiful females. So we have to realize that we have to celebrate great company, celebrate the people that are around us, that the people that we can grow with, the people that we share energies and vibes with. Realize that giving love never runs out. So therefore, we can give love to an unlimited amount of people, and it will never run dry. So therefore, don't feel, when you feel drained because you gave love to the wrong person, that you're now lacking love. What you are is just lacking self-love in that moment. You need time to replenish. You need time to give back to yourself, invest in yourself, and then go back and spread love again, because what you give out will literally reflect back into the mirror of reality through the feedback. Everything you give out is going to come back to you. So give love and realize that the social condition people are saying misery loves company. Positivity loves company too. Positivity loves company. Love loves company. Guidance. So we need to live through this paradigm too and realize, wow, let me celebrate the people that I'm around. Let me give love to the people that give love to me. And I want to dive a little bit into the chakras, even though I can't really go too deep into the chakras. Anybody that doesn't have any idea about the chakras, basically they're energy systems. They're basically suns within ourselves, energy vortexes that spin on different paradigms, on different frequencies, and relating to the different chakras will relate to the different ones that we need to work through in order for different abilities, different efforts that we need to do in our life. So when we're talking about self-love, we're talking deeper from the heart chakra. So this means that when we're going through life, we're going to be on a purpose, but sometimes the purpose is we're going to get lost in that purpose. And that's going to happen to all of us at different times in our life. But there's going to be times where we need to come back to center. And which one is center? The heart chakra is inherently in our center. This is what's going to resonate love. We need to come back to it and find our true passion, find our true purpose, find what we are actually meant to be doing, how we are meant to be connecting to other people, like-minded souls and energies and entities that we exist with on this paradigm, and how we are going to give love and help through that paradigm of self-love. And then really and finally, my anagram of how we should be working from this heart is we need to heal everyone around us through righteous thought. Heal everyone around us through righteous thought. And this is something that's massive in the Black community, because we're not abundant healing thoughts. We're not abundant in righteous thoughts at the minute. So this is why we have to give thanks for people who are doing things such as the B.A.P community and the Black African community, because we now have to work on healing each other one by one. And before we can heal each other one by one, we have to work from self. We have to go into our own heart chakra and open our own heart chakra in order that we can give love. And when we find out that we can now give love to ourselves, when we find the love for ourselves and our family and the people that are close to us, then we can now spread that further out into the community, and we can give that in many different ways. But it always has to start with self. Find love for yourself, open your heart chakra, and heal everyone around you through righteous thought. Pay no mind to any social conditioning. Realize that we are conditioned entities. We do have a conditioned identity, but it doesn't have to stay that way, because we follow our own purpose. We follow our heart. We follow what we love. And when we realize we're all treading a unique path, then this is the thing that's going to take us forward in our life. I want to keep this one short because we could go deep into other concepts. I wish you all success forever. I want to thank you all so much for joining in this live stream. I want to thank B.A.P and Black African Power for giving me this platform and enabling me to offer value to all of the lovely people out there. And as always, I wish you all success forever.